Hello guys, welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we are going to be discussing when to use the match feed over the pelletized feed or the pelletized feed over the match feed. Yes, we have two types of feed. The mash feed, which is the fine grain, the one you will see maize and all the ingredients physically inside, and the pelletized feed, which is long in size, about 5 mm to 7 mm in size, which you may not see maize or any ingredient inside the feed, but you will see it just long, about 5 mm to 7 mm. Yes, the mash feed is just like fine grains, like very powdered in form where you see the maize, the soya beans, and the ingredient that is added in making the feed. So stay tuned, I'll be back. Like I said earlier, in today's video, we are going to be discussing when to use the match feed over the pelletized feed or the pelletized feed over the match feed. Yes, most of us have lived behind the mash feed and move to pelletized feed, while some are still fancying the match feed. Yes, if you are using match feed, it is not bad. And if you are using the pelletized feed, it is not bad. Both feed are going to be giving you the best result. While some people are contemplating, match feed is the best. Some are saying pelletized feed is the best. I am telling you, both feed are good. Yes, with those two feed, you can get a great result. But there are periods when you should use match feed over the pelletized feed and when you should use the pelletized feed over the match feed. Yes, having this understanding can save you from some headache in this poultry business. You know, poultry sometimes can give lots of headache, but having this understanding can save you from having headache in this business. So guys, before I move into when to use the match feed over the pelletized feed, I would like to give a difference between the both. Yes, like you always know, match feed is in powdered form. And when I mean powdered, it is not crumbled. You know, we have crumbled feed, pelletized feed, and the match feed. Crumbled feed is when the pelletized feed have been cut into smaller pieces for the day-old chicks to eat. But mash feed is in powdered form. We have the starter feed for mash and the finisher feed for mash, even the grower feed for mash also. So they are of two category, mash or pelletized or crumbled. These are the categories, mash, pelletized or crumbled. So we are talking about when to use mash over the pelletized and when to use the pelletized over the mash. So let's go into the difference between the mash feed and the pelletized feed. Now, the difference between these two feed is that one is longer in size, while the small is in powdered form. And now, the benefit of this is that pelletized feed is easy to pick for the chickens. Yes, pelletized feed is usually easy to pick. The time and energy used in grabbing the pelletized feed is lesser than the time and energy used in grabbing the match feed. Now, the pelletized feed, when the chickens are eating pelletized feed, they easily take most of the nutrients than the chicken that is eating the match feed, except the chicken that is eating the match feed pack lot of the feed at once. They are going to be picking one by one. Some of the chickens that feed on match will be picking only protein content in the feed, while some will be picking only the starch or the fat content of the feed. Number three is that pelletized feed makes the chickens to take lots of water, while the match feed help the chickens to drink little quantity of water. Yes, chickens that eat pelletized feed drink lots of water, and this is from personal experience, not from any research. You may be having a different result, but from my constant observation, this is personal observation. When I feed my chickens on pelletized, they drink lots of water than when I feed them on match feed. Number four is that pelletized feed help to reduce feed wastage. Yes, it helps to reduce feed wastage. I know you guys might have noticed that chickens that feed on pelletized feed, when the feed fell off the feeder to the floor, they'll be able to pick it easily than when the match fell off the feeder to the floor. They will not be able to feed on it again. But when it's pelletized feed, they are going to be feeding on it. So these are the five difference between the match feed and the pelletized feed. So the main aim of this video is when to use the match feed over the pelletized and when to use the pelletized over the match. So let's talk about it. If your chickens are sick, to my personal observation and personal experience, I feel you should use the match feed. Yes. If your chickens are sick and are not able to eat feed, I feel you should use the match feed. If you are using the pelletized feed, you may consider grounding it into mash to serve them to your chickens. Why are you using the mash feed when your chickens are sick? One, mash feed is easily digestible compared to pelletized feed. The amount of time the chicken use to digest the mash feed is lesser than the amount of time the chicken will use to digest the pelletized feed. This is why I said you should use the mash feed when your chickens are sick and forget about the pelletized feed. Mind you, both feed are good. And secondly, when are you to use the mash feed over the pelletized or the pelletized feed over the mash? When your chicken undergoes stress of transportation, use the match feed. Yes, this is because when they overgo a long distance of transportation, their crop is already empty and their stomach is already empty. They long to eat food that will help them to recover immediately. They pass through stress and they don't need extra stress in digesting the feed again. So, using the match feed can help when your chickens are under stress. Cutting down on the pelletized feed for the mash feed is a great idea for you as a poultry farmer when your chickens have undergone the stress of long time transportation. Yes. So as they are eating the mash feed, they'll be using what they are eating immediately. It will be easier for their body to use it immediately, thereby saving you from the risk of diseases. Number three, using the mash feed over the pelletized feed. Yes, when I used to use this mash over the pelletized feed, when you have organic booster or when you want to add any drugs to your feed, it is advisable you use the mash feed over the pelletized feed as it will be mixed properly with the mash feed than the pelletized feed. When you are trying to mix your growth booster or any medicine, antibiotics, anticoccidiosis to feed and you try it with the pelletized feed, you will see that one part of the pelletized feed is not going to be mixed properly with the other part of the pelletized feed. So using mash feed will help to mix it very well for the chickens. And if you are also using pelletized feed to mix your drugs, the chickens are going to be selecting it. You know, just as some human beings don't like to take drugs, some chickens also don't like to take drugs. So they will be picking pelletized feed and leaving the drugs away. But when it's mixed with mash, they will be able to pick the drug with the feed at once. Now, the last part of using the mash feed over the pelletized feed is that mash feed help to reduce the disease called ascites. Because of the lesser water intake when they are eating mash feed, it is going to help to reduce ascites. And you know that ascites is associated with general accumulation of body fluid. So this will help to reduce ascites. So let's move on. When are we to use the pelletized feed over the match feed? And guys, I hope you are enjoying the video already. If so, please consider subscribing. When are we to use the pelletized feed over the match feed? One, it is easy to control the growth of your chickens when you are using pelletized feed than the match feed. When you feel that your chickens have met up your target weight, the pelletized feed is the best option for you to use to control their growth rates. Sometime in this business there are some disappointment that comes along in this phase of business, whereby you train your chickens to 6 weeks and there's nobody to come and buy. Even the people you believe that they are your main customer will sometimes disappoint you. So what will you do? Will you keep feeding them to waste your money while nobody is coming to buy at the moment? No. Using pelletized feed is a great idea for you to control the growth rate or to control the rate of feeding in your chickens. Why I said this is because when you are giving them the pelletized feed, once one chicken pick a pelletized feed, they have picked most of the nutrients. So when you are going to be giving this pelletized feed, as you are dropping the pelletized feed in the feeders, all chickens are not going to be picking four at once. Yes, no chicken will be able to pick four pelletized feed at once. So they are going to be picking one by one in as much as they are competing. At least the list of the chickens that are going to be picking two pelletized feed should be satisfied. So this is just to control or to maintain their weight. I'm not saying you should feed them lesser than what you are feeding them, but I am saying giving them to control their weight. Just you reduce the quantity of what you are giving them. I'm not saying you should starve them. Just reduce the quantity of what you are giving them to keep their weight or their sizes going till the customers come and pick them. Now, the second part on when you should feed pelletized feed over the match feed is that when you are feeding your chickens on pelletized feed, you'll be more confident that they are taking most of the nutrients. Once one chicken take any pelletized feed, you'll be more confident that yeah, they are taking many nutrients than the chickens that is feeding on the match feed. Because the chickens that is feeding on the match feed, like I said earlier, you'll be picking only the maize, which will only give you fat and fiber, less vitamin in maize, except for the red maize. The white maize is having less vitamin. So when they are picking the maize, you'll be getting more fat and fiber than the chickens that picks the pelletized feed that got fibers, the protein, and most of the things at once. Number three on when to feed your chickens pelletized feed over the match feed is when you want your chickens to drink lots of water. What do I mean drink lots of water? When you add drugs to the water of your chickens and you want them to rush and drink the drugs very well, you can feed them on pelletized feed. As they're eating the pelletized feed, they'll be drinking lots of water, which will help them to take the medication faster. Number four on when to use the pelletized feed over the match feed is when you want to mix your feed with a liquid booster. Yes, we have liquid booster like the blackstrap molasses and other liquid booster that you can mix with the feed. So when you want to mix the liquid booster with your feed, pelletized feed is the best choice for you. How are you to mix this booster with your feed? When you get your pelletized feed from the store, you pour in the molasses or the liquid booster, you mix it together with your hands, then spray them on the sun to dry. When it dried up to some extent, and you are not going to be pouring them in the high intensity of the sun, you are going to be giving it a moderate drying, like putting it in a place where the heat is not much and it's not high. This is all for when to use the match feed over the pelletized feed and when to use the pelletized feed over the match feed. So guys, I believe you've understood what I just said in this video, that I'm not criticizing pelletized feed or the match feed. All I'm trying to say in this video is that when things is done with better understanding, a greater result is always achieved. Yes, when your chickens are sick, maybe you are feeding your chickens on pelletized feed and you feel that your chickens are sick, it is advisable to mash the feed and give them back to the chickens. Put in mind that before the pelletized feed, the feed was mashed. Yes, it's just that some water was added into the mash feed and was pelletized. That is just the difference. It is the same thing. But when your chickens are sick, it is advisable to use the mash feed over the pelletized feed. Don't forget, when things is done with better understanding, great result is always achieved. Guys, I hope you learned from this video and I wish you all the best in your poultry farming. Guys, this sector of business is not really easy at all. It is not easy. But I pray God bless us and God see us through in this business. Love you guys from Farmers Hub and don't forget to subscribe. Catch up in the next video. Bye.